You've just been blamed yet again for something you didn't do, and you are getting tired of constantly being the one, but you don't know how to respond. You think to yourself, there must be something I can say or do. When you've spent decades being conditioned to accept blame, to make yourself small and do all the work in relationships, standing up for yourself doesn't feel natural at all. It scares the heck out of you. So how do you live in the world knowing that you are the scapegoat in your family? How do you stay in relationships without being used as the emotional punching bag? Awareness on its own doesn't set you free. It just leaves you feeling overwhelmed and helpless, and that is no way to live your life. Welcome to Lessons for Life with Grandma Kate. If you're done with people-pleasing, tired of repeating the same patterns, and ready to learn what healthy relationships actually look like, you're in the right place. I get it. I was there too. At 65, I started learning the things I wish I'd known decades ago. Each week, I share real-life lessons to help you understand yourself better, recognize unhealthy patterns sooner, and stop repeating them so you can break the cycle instead of passing it on to your children. You'll find today's lesson written out as a blog post in the show notes if you prefer to read. New episodes drop every Thursday, so hit that subscribe button. And if something here speaks to you, leaving a quick review helps others find their way here too. I want to mention a free cheat sheet I created for people who believe they are the scapegoat in their family relationships. It focuses on common phrases I heard over and over back when I didn't realize what was happening to me. This cheat sheet helps you notice language that can quietly trigger self-doubt so you can recognize it sooner instead of turning it inward. You'll find the link in the show notes. And if what I've shared speaks to you, I also send a free weekly newsletter, a 1-minute read, just 100 words, delivered every Monday morning with one reflection on loving yourself more. You'll also find the link in the show notes. Like a lighthouse, steady and strong, let's all shine a little brighter today. Here's the part that's hard to understand unless you've lived it. When you've been the scapegoat, you weren't just blamed for just about everything. You were also conditioned to play that role, and truth be told, that is emotional abuse. You learned to accept blame even when something clearly wasn't your fault. You learned to question your own memory and feelings, which is called gaslighting, because people kept telling you that what you experienced didn't really happen or that it wasn't that bad. You learned to do all the work in relationships, like chasing people, fixing things, smoothing things over, because if you didn't, you were made to feel like you didn't even care. And over time, that conditioning becomes visible in the way you respond to people, the way you explain yourself, and the way you take responsibility for things that aren't yours. Some people can sense who has been conditioned to doubt themselves, who over-explains, who takes responsibility for everyone else's emotions, and who is more likely to blame themselves rather than push back. And some people, especially those who learn manipulation early in their own lives, actively seek out people who've been conditioned this way. It's not random. It's a pattern. Those people, especially covertly controlling or abusive ones, often choose scapegoats because of that conditioning. So the challenge isn't just set better boundaries. The real challenge is learning how to respond when your nervous system has been wired to accept the abuse as normal and not to panic the moment you try to do something different. Let me show you what I mean. This conditioning started for me long before I even had words for it. When I was in 4th grade, I played a duet with my best friend at the time at a piano recital, and during the performance, she messed up her part. I kept going, and we were able to rally and make it to the end of the piece with just that one moment. A few days later at my next piano lesson, the teacher blamed me for what went wrong. I remember trying to explain, saying, "No, it wasn't me, it was her." But the teacher didn't believe me. And I was the one who got in trouble, even though I hadn't done anything wrong. That moment has stayed with me for decades because it never made sense. I thought to myself at the time, clearly my piano teacher knew the piece well enough to know who had messed up. Didn't she see the panic on my friend's face when we were playing? My friend even admitted to me that she messed up, but I still got blamed. I just remember thinking, why does this keep happening to me? I don't get it. I'll try harder. Next time, I'll prove that I'm not to blame. Until the next time came, and I got blamed for something else I didn't do. What I learned that day was that sometimes facts don't protect you, that defending yourself doesn't work, and that you get blamed no matter what actually happened. And when experiences like that happen early enough and often enough, they shape how you move through the world. You stop believing that speaking up will help. You start learning that staying quiet, shrinking, or taking the blame is safer than telling the truth. But that's not who you really are. That's abusive conditioning you learned in order to survive. So when you grow up and finally become aware of the scapegoat role, it makes sense that protecting yourself feels terrifying. Your body remembers what happened the last time you tried to stand up for yourself. It remembers the punishment, the silent treatment, the passive-aggressive comments, subtle exclusion, or suddenly becoming the topic of family gossip. It remembers the confusion, the disbelief, the message that speaking up only makes things worse. That's why fear, anger, and anxiety often show up right after you become aware of what's really happening. So here are 5 empowering ways I've learned to respond to being the scapegoat in my family relationships, and all my relationships for that matter. I hope they will help you too. Number 1, gray rocking. Gray rocking means keeping your responses simple and emotionally neutral when someone tries to provoke you, control you, or bait you into defending yourself. Instead of explaining, correcting, or proving your intentions, you give short, calm responses. Like yes, no, okay, noted, and then you stop engaging. For example, if someone asks, "Are you staying up later?" Instead of launching into an explanation about why you're tired and what you did all day or justify your need for rest, you simply say yes or no. That's it. No story, no defense, just a direct answer. This can feel uncomfortable at first because scapegoats are trained to explain and fix things. But people who emotionally manipulate don't want to understand you. They want you to react and lose control. They want access to your emotions, your attention, and your energy. When you stop giving them that, the manipulation loses its power. And number 2, strategic boundaries. For scapegoats, boundaries usually work best when they're internal, just between you and yourself. You make private decisions about your time, energy, money, and what information you share without announcing or justifying them. You stop overgiving, over-explaining, and over-committing. When you do this, you stay calmer and more grounded because you're no longer putting yourself in situations that drain you, control you, or hurt you. This might look like stopping sharing personal details about life that expose your vulnerability, like how you felt hurt at the last family dinner when your spouse's brother was disrespectful to you. That kind of information can be used against you later, twisted or dismissed. So keep it to yourself or share it only with people who've proven they're safe. Number 3, reciprocal relationships. Not chasing in relationships doesn't mean you have to disappear. It means you stop chasing after people. You still care, you still reach out, but you no longer carry the entire relationship on your back. Healthy relationships work both ways. They are reciprocal, and when they aren't, that's information, not something you need to fix or compensate for. For me, it has been fascinating, but extremely hurtful to learn that when I stopped chasing and doing all the emotional work, radio silence. Not a text, call, nothing. And yes, That hurts. It's painful to realize how one-sided things are, that the people you thought you had a strong relationship with stay connected only because you were doing all the work. But the flip side, now I'm not emotionally exhausted from all that chasing. Now I have more time to pour into myself, which is empowering and liberating. And number 4, start living on your terms. Change doesn't start with big, bold moves. It starts with small daily choices that put you back in the driver's seat. Choosing your schedule, your pace, and your routines teaches your nervous system that you're allowed to take up space. For me, this looks like working at my own pace. I'm methodical. I like to get things right the first time. But almost everyone in my life has punished me for being slow. So for most of my life, I tried to work faster to fit in, and I made so many mistakes. Now, I go at my own pace. If others don't like it, that's on them. Each time you make a small choice for yourself and nothing bad happens, your body learns that choosing yourself is safe. Over time, those moments add up, and fear slowly loses its grip because you start trusting yourself again. And number 5, privacy is not lying. Not telling someone everything is not dishonesty. It's survival for a scapegoat. You don't owe anyone a full explanation for your choices, especially if sharing has been weaponized or used against you in the past. Privacy is protection, and protection is not the same as deception. Letting go of over-explaining helps you build inner authority and stop others from controlling your life. Now, I know what you're thinking. These sound simple, but actually doing them, that's a whole different story. And you're right. These aren't skills you master overnight, especially when you've been conditioned your whole life to do the opposite. I learned about gray rocking and tried it. But because I was so conditioned, I kept adding the explanation after the yes or no. I was frustrated learning this stuff, thinking I would never get it right, that I would never have internal boundaries or be able to gray rock properly. But today, I gray rocked twice. I was asked if I'm on a new diet, and instead of saying, no, I'm just eating on a different schedule, I just said no. Then later, I was asked if I wanted something put into storage. It was just a yes. No explanation, no further details. So hang in there. Keep reminding yourself of these 5 responses, and soon enough, they will become easier, and you will start to wire a new pathway. You're not failing when you slip back into old patterns. You're learning. Every time you notice it, that's progress. And speaking of breaking patterns, if you're a parent or grandparent, there's something else worth thinking about. Children learn by watching the adults around them and what they see happen again and again. When children see an adult who always apologizes, explains themselves, or gives in just to keep the peace, they learn that being quiet and small is how you stay safe in relationships. On the other hand, when they see an adult calmly say no, step away when needed, they learn something else, that you can be kind and still honor yourself. This is especially important if there is a child in the family who seems to get blamed more than others. Sometimes one child is corrected more often, watched more closely, or expected to behave better than everyone else. That child may be told they are too sensitive or the problem, even when they're reacting to unfair treatment. When that keeps happening, the child starts to believe that something is wrong with them. They try harder to be good, stay quiet, or take responsibility for other people's feelings. That's how the scapegoat role begins. And if you're still navigating family dynamics where you get blamed, your children are watching that too. They're seeing how people treat you. They're learning what's normal in relationships. Sometimes protecting them means limiting their exposure to people who treat you as less than. Because if they grow up watching you accept disrespect, they'll learn to accept it too. That's how cycles stop. Not through lectures, but through small, clear actions that children see and feel every day. Responding to protect yourself isn't about becoming cold or shutting people out. It's about learning to stop the emotional abuse that has been hurting you for years, maybe even decades. If you've been the family scapegoat, it makes sense that this feels hard. You were taught early to take the blame, keep the peace at all costs, and put yourself last. Letting go of that doesn't happen overnight. It happens one small choice at a time. Every time you pause instead of over-explaining, say no without guilt, or choose what's best for you, you are teaching yourself something new. You are showing your body that it's safe to live differently. And when your children see this, whether they're living with you now or watching you as an adult child, they learn that relationships don't require self-sacrifice. They learn that respect goes both ways. In next week's episode, I'll talk about what you might be noticing now that you're protecting yourself. Some people pull away. They get cold, distant, unavailable. And that's not random. Understanding why helps you stop taking it personally. Whether you're starting to understand yourself more clearly, working through old family dynamics, or learning to do things differently, you're building the skills that help you grow into the person you're meant to be. Learning is important, but real change happens when you use what you've learned. So choose just one life lesson from today and try it out this week. That's when things begin to shift. And if you want more life lessons like this, be sure to follow Lessons for Life with Grandma Kate on Facebook and Instagram. And if no one has told you lately, everything will be okay. Tomorrow is a new day, and with it comes new hope. As I conclude this episode, I must state that this podcast is designed solely for educational and entertainment purposes. While I bring my experience as a parent and grandparent, it's essential that you know I am not a licensed therapist. This podcast is not a substitute for professional advice from a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional. Got it? Awesome. Until next time, what is one thing you are grateful for?